what do we commonly see that undermines a good structured interview? What are people doing that is actually lowering the predictive power of a structured interview?
Yeah, I guess there's a few ways you can compromise the structure. Probably the classic way is to ask different questions to different candidates, right? So you haven't prepared a set of questions, or you've looked at somebody's resume and you've thought, oh, I've got to ask this guy this question about that, but I'm not going to ask the other candidate the same question. That's a good way to screw up a structured interview. Another way to screw up a structured interview is to not have any kind of agreed standards around what a good response to a question is. So like I saw on LinkedIn recently, someone had the idea, or maybe we should ask a job candidate how they've used a large language model recently to solve a problem. And that sounds like a great idea if you want to assess somebody's AI capacity. But unless you've all sat around and agreed on what a good example is of using a large language model and what a bad example is, what you'll find is different people will have different interpretations of the same answer. So I think having clear standards about what's good, what's average, what's poor, or reasonable or poor. And also another good way to compromise structure, if that's what you want to do, is to have fewer people involved in the interview process. And of course, in a small business, it might not be possible to form a panel, and that's fine. You can do the other things, but if you have the capability to have multiple evaluators, that's also good practice for improving structure. But one caveat to that is you don't want the evaluators talking to each other before they've done their evaluations. You want those people to independently do those evaluations using a standard set of agreed criteria already. And then you don't let the discussion unfold until all those ratings have been locked in, if you like.
Yeah, so I've seen processes where there's been a good start and middle in regards to creating criteria and following that criteria through interview and so on. But then we get to 3, 4, 5 panel member discussion, and the criteria is not even looked at. It's then a bit of a free-for-all, and then you get the potential for groupthink as well.
Yeah, I think there's a risk of that too when you might have somebody on the panel who's particularly influential, right? So, the team leader or the university, it might be some senior professor that nobody wants to upset or everybody wants to try and impress.